So today I'm going to be making salmon jerky. It takes a bit of time, so quarantine seems like the best time to do it. I absolutely love eating salmon jerky. I like to make it before long road trips or if I'm concerned about having fresh food for a while. It's very delicious. It lasts for a really long time. I think it has really great flavor. And the only thing that stops me from making it regularly is that it takes such a long time to marinate and then such a long time to cook down in the oven. I don't have a dehydrator, so I just pop this into the oven on the lowest temperature possible for many hours or until the salmon itself is done, depending on how thickly or thinly I slice it. So quarantine time is the best time to try this project if you've never done it. I absolutely love to, so I'm going to share that with you. Right now I have a lot of salmon because I eat a lot of this, and I just want to have some for a really long time. Right now I have 3 fillets, but that's a lot. You could work with 1 and it's just fine. I have 3 fresh salmon fillets, lightly rinsed with cold water, and I have them in 1 bowl, and then I have a second bowl that I'm going to transfer the cut pieces to. Personally, with the room in my fridge, I marinate the fish in a Ziploc bag. You could always wash out and rinse out the Ziploc bag when you're done with it, so don't worry about wasting it. I personally just don't have room in my fridge for a whole bowl, and a Ziploc bag can easily get tucked into a corner somewhere. So I'm just going to be transferring the fish into the second bowl for convenience right now, but I'll be putting it in a plastic bag later. So let's get started. So I have a freshly sharpened knife. I find that to be most handy. And a nice piece of salmon. I like it with the skin on. I think it's a little easier to keep it all together when cutting it and cooking it. And the skin tastes good when it's crispy. So I know people like to cut their salmon for jerky in different ways. I think out of convenience, I'm just going to cut it on the shorter side. It looks like there's plenty of fat and grain to hold it together. I'm going to cut it on the shorter side just because it's a little easier for me to control right now. I know a lot of recipes online say to make salmon jerky. They say that it's a lot easier to freeze the fish first and then cut it just so it's a little firmer. That's what I'd always done in the past, but I found it really challenging to actually cut it efficiently. I found this to be so much easier. So I've got some pieces that are a bit thin, but not too thin. Got some good heft to them. They're holding together right now, so I'm just going to keep cutting like this. Learning how to cut fish and work with fish has always been kind of interesting to me, which seems a little odd since I haven't had beef or chicken or anything else in about 17 years. Meat in general just kind of weirds me out a little bit, but I had to start eating fish again pretty early on in my vegetarianism for health reasons, and sometimes it's hard. Sometimes I go through phases where I just can't do it. But when I do, I like to know where the fish is coming from. I like to eat food that's really fresh. I like to be able to prepare it myself. I'm probably not cutting this correctly. James is here.
Oh.
Do you want to be a guest? You don't have to. It's okay.
Oh my gosh, I could be a guest. That's
you can
so
pop in
pressure
for a
though.
second.
This is real. This is real gold.
Oh yeah.
Whoa. You need an action shot on that, like a close up.
I need a camera crew. I should have gone into I should have like handpicked people to like
to
pull into the house for isolation instead of just a tripod.
I wish I had my camera here. That would be so nice. Am I interrupting your video now?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay. Yeah. Or you need some like better lights.
Well, I have the ring light that's up there now. That's like something.
I feel like you could use some major clamp lights here.
I mean, yeah, I would love like a proper video setup. That would be amazing.
Like, turn some neon on or something.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
You could Venmo me at Stephanie-Lifshitz if you'd like to contribute to proper lighting. I've never worked in video before. I have only done photography.
I have a bunch of neon you could put near here to like, I don't know, if you want to like install something on one of these walls.
Not a bad idea.
And you have a lot of neon too.
I do.
Yeah.
I know you're supposed to cut this in one stroke, but I'm just not getting it.
If you want to give another knife to Stephanie, once again, her Venmo.
Ooh.
Well, there it goes.
Fancier knives or some better quality sharpening stones. Again, Venmo Stephanie-Lifshitz.
This looks really. Are you making more jerky?
I am. I'm making more jerky because I kind of
gosh.
ate all the jerky. So I'm just finishing up the last couple pieces. I really like these. They make like really crispy little nuggets of fish flavor. I don't actually know what jerky is supposed to taste like. I never had beef jerky growing up, and yeah. So salmon jerky's actually been the only kind of jerky that I've ever had, and it's delicious. I have no idea if it's supposed to be thicker or thinner or anything. But right now, I have my giant bowl of little fish strips. I'm going to marinate them in the bowl at first, just to mix together all of the ingredients, mix it together by hand, make sure everything's getting covered, and then I'll transfer that. So for my marinade, I'm going to be using soy sauce, honey, ginger powder, and lemon pepper. I know there are a lot of recipes that say that you need liquid smoke. I've never had that, and it's worked out just fine. I'm sure there's a way that you're supposed to measure all of the ingredients, but I'm just gonna go for it. I put in mostly soy sauce, and then for this quantity, I think 3 teaspoons of honey, 3 overflowing teaspoons of honey, just to give it a little bit of that sweetness. A lot of people also like maple syrup. I like honey. And I love ginger. It's delicious. I think it adds a nice little undertone of a kick. So I'm just gonna pop in a bunch of that. And then lemon pepper because it's delicious, and I put it in everything. Nice few shakes. I'm not gonna bother with salt just because of the contents of the soy sauce and the ratio of soy sauce to everything else. So I'm trying to make sure not to disturb the salmon while mixing it together. More of a folding motion, similar to baking, but not quite. I should probably be using a spatula. That would work. Okay. And then I'm just going in with my hands. Obviously, during this time period, wash your hands before you do anything, and after you do everything. And when you're thinking about doing something, just wash your hands with some soap. Nice amount of soap, nice amount of water, some good scrubbing action. Just wash your hands. Okay, this is looking pretty good. I feel like all of the pieces have been individually coated, and now I'm going to transfer this to a Ziploc bag. So I have a giant Ziploc bag. I use the IKEA bags because they're inexpensive and they're wonderful, and they easily rinse out if you want to reuse them. Plus, I like that a lot of the boxes come with multiple sizes, like 2 sizes that are pretty similar. I find that to be very convenient. Ooh. Okay. So I've poured everything in here. I've got the fish, I've got the marinade, and while I was pouring, of course, I was trying to keep the fish intact. So I'm going to squeeze most of the air out of the bag, seal it up nice and tight. and let this chill in the refrigerator for, I don't know, I guess until tomorrow. You could do 12 hours. I like it best the longer it's marinated, so I'm definitely going to do it for at least 12 hours. So see you back here. Once the fish is done marinating, you want to layer it out over paper towels and then just make new layers on top of one another. Then you want to pat down the fish to squeeze out any excess moisture of the marinade. Once you've done that successfully, you then lay out all of the fish strips onto a piece of parchment paper on a pan and make sure that you don't have any pieces overlapping one another. They don't need too much room to spread out. The fish will shrink once it's baking. Then you want to pop the fish into the oven at the lowest possible heat setting. This will make the oven act as a dehydrator if you don't have one on hand. Bake until it looks like this. Congratulations! We made salmon jerky. There are pieces missing from the pictures because, well, I started eating some. Thanks for joining me.